do not live in a limited world, that we created a limited world through our own state of consciousness, and at the same time that it's our own limited state of consciousness that's co-creating the reality around us, we still blame God instead of ourselves for everything that's going on in the world. And the understanding that I got is that these angry thoughts that we have, combined with our fear-based thoughts of lack and limitation and where are we going to get our next meal from, our next job, where's the money going to come from, all of this fear of calamity and, poverty has consumed us, and that's a lot of negative energy that's going out onto the cosmic mirror. So could you explain to the audience how that works, how our thoughts and our feelings affect the weather and the planet?
Yeah, one of the most amazing things for me in my life and my whole spiritual path has been to find the teachings of the Ascended Masters.
Yeah, me too.
Because without their perspective, I wouldn't have been able to even come up with all of the teachings I have brought out or write some of the books I've written, because this is what happens to us. After we fell into the lower state of consciousness where we see ourselves as separated,
right,
we have, as you said, we have co-created a more limited state, even a more limited physical state of the planet than was originally there.
Right.
And the real problem with this dualistic state of consciousness is that it becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy.
Yes.
The more we think we have to struggle, the more we actually do have to struggle.
Yes.
And everything we do in the struggle consciousness just confirms this basic belief that we have to struggle because we are separated from nature and separated from God. Mm-hmm. And by the way, we're separated from each other, so I have to force others to get what I want.
Right.
And this is what has created this enormous amount of energy that's out there. And that's why when I hear some of these get-rich-quick schemes and some of these gurus that are out there that says, oh, just switch your mind in an instant and you'll be rich,
right,
that just isn't the case, you
right.
know.
Because there's a lot of programming that we have to, reprogram, and there are a lot of fears, and there's a lot of emotional tension that we have built up in our physical body that has to be dealt with before we can actually access those higher vibrations. Am I correct on that?
Yeah, and we can't just expect that, as a single individual, that you can just jump in there and say a few mantras or read a book and rethink your life, and then all of a sudden everything is going to change, because there is a certain amount of energy. And this is, again, what's unique to the teachings of the Ascended Masters. They tell us that this energy is there, but they also give us the tools to do something about it with invocations and decrees and that we've talked about before on the program. And without that, we really aren't going to get out of this, because we will just be pulled back into the same old patterns by this emotional energy like you were talking about.
Yeah, it's sort of like this, I like to use the movie The Matrix, where we're plugged into it, and so even as one individual, as you try to unplug yourself, if you don't have a support group of other people that have unplugged from the matrix or waking up, to the reality of it, then it's very, very easy to get pulled, to get sucked back into that. It's like a negative vortex. So I know exactly what you're talking about, and it does, I think, a disservice to make people think in a lot of the movements that you can just do it overnight with one, thought or one word. Just, it's like flipping a switch. And I found that not to be true myself.
No, because you're actually trying to get rich by using the same state of consciousness that caused you to be separated from life in the first place, and it's like you were saying, we have to really step back and look at that state of consciousness and realize that it's the state of consciousness that's the problem. Because like you were saying before, we think that it's all out there, that the problem is always out there. Mm-hmm. That's what we have been programmed to believe. And that's one aspect of the duality consciousness. It always projects that the problem is outside of ourselves. Mm-hmm. So with that comes this idea that you can change your life by changing something outside yourself, and you don't have to do what Jesus said, look at the beam in your own eye.
Mm-hmm. Well, yeah, and I'm more and more with my own journey, I'm turning ever inward and less and less putting blame on other people or trying to change them in their ways of acting or interacting with me. And I've finally gotten to the point where I accept, honestly, even though you know it on one level, I really am powerless to change anybody but myself. And just trying to change myself is such a 24-hour-a-day job that I really don't have the energy, the interest, or the time at this phase of my life in trying to change anybody else. It's just too much work.
Yeah, I agree with you. I've come to the same conclusion. It's taken me a long time because I used to be very enthusiastic about changing the world and doing something positive for the planet. And it's not that we can't do that. We can certainly do that by invoking spiritual light and by raising our own consciousness. Mm-hmm. It's just that I've also, like you, grown out of this sense that I have to change other people. I have to focus on doing what I can do, that's me, and then if that inspires others, that's good. But that's not me changing them.
Right, and that is sort of where we should be putting our energy, is in, as Gandhi said, being the change that we want to see and in the world, and the way that we really can be of the highest service is by working on transmuting all of our own negativity and reprogramming the negative programs from the collective unconscious, because that in and of itself is such a huge feat to accomplish that it does definitely inspire other people. If you look at all of the inspirational speakers and all of the inspirational books and, the modern day heroes, they've all done something that the collective unconscious thought was, really, really difficult to do or impossible to do. And I think if each one of us were to focus on what is it within ourselves that we are actually capable of changing and focus on that, then we can have a positive impact on, our world around us, that limited community that we may live in.
Yeah, and we also, of course, have a greater impact on the whole of humanity and the whole of the planet, because it is one interconnected whole. It's just that there's a very subtle difference between focusing on changing other people and then focusing on changing yourself, and then by changing yourself, you are pulling everybody else up. But you're not doing it to change the other people. You're focusing on, as you said, unfolding your potential and finding out who you really are and what you want to do on this planet.
Well, let's go back to the whole concept of living by the sweat of our brow, and how we can move out of that consciousness and move more into harmony with the elementals of the earth, so that we're not having to struggle to make a living. We can go with the flow of the river of life, as you say so often in many of your books, because we seem to be wanting to go upstream instead of going with the flow, that's moving downstream with ease. So I think the audience needs a little bit of background on the elementals and how we have 4 lower bodies: the physical, emotional, mental, and then our spiritual body, which you refer to as the identity body, the way that we identify ourselves. Right. So I'd like to give the audience a little background on the elementals.
Yeah. everything is created out of a certain spiritual energy that I guess we have to go to the break, but we can pick up afterwards.
You could tell. Okay, yeah. So we're going to, after commercial break, we'll be talking about, how you can stop living by the sweat of your brow by reconnecting with your body elementals and the earth elementals, which are designed to serve us. You're listening to Divine Love Talk, and I'm interviewing my co-host, Kim Michaels, about his book, Healing Mother Earth. We'll be back with more after commercial break.
Come to Angelo's and Vinci's Restaurante in Fullerton, California for our sizzling holiday savings. Come to Angelo's and Vinci's and celebrate in one of our festive banquet rooms and receive free pizza hors d'oeuvres for all your guests and use of our holiday centerpieces free of charge. Call for all the details. And don't forget our daily lunch and dinners, including fresh salmon fillet prepared, simply seasoned, or with a duo of mustards glazed. Plus our Sunday champagne brunch is $14.95. It includes minestrone soup, sausage and peppers, pastas, chicken dishes, salads, scones and muffins, a chocolate fondue fountain, zeppelis, cookies, fresh fruit, champagne, and Junior will be waiting to make the omelet of your choice from our omelet bar. Angelo's and Vinci's has been voted one of the top 5 Italian restaurants on the Orange County Hot List for the past 6 years. And don't forget our award-winning pizzas. It's all at Angelo's and Vinci's Restaurante at 550 North Harbor Boulevard in Fullerton, California. Call 714-879-4022, 714-879-4022.
I'm Aileen Ellis. I hate those video games teenagers love, but I'm convinced that my son's reflexes are quicker because he's hyper alert in video races running in James Bond fashion. Studies show that playing some computer games can help you stay sharp as you get older, so I'm playing away on AARP.org. I like Pyramid Solitaire. You match cards that add up to 13. It gets you ready for something much more challenging, Entangled. You spot hidden objects made of what looks like twisted wire wrapped around other wire objects. Fish swim in trees, flowers bloom inside animals. My favorite game is The Right Word. It's expanding my vocabulary, and that's good for a writer like me. It reminds me of the SAT, and that makes me really glad I've graduated already. For lots of free gaming fun, check out AARP.org. You might start staying up really late, but hey, isn't that like the teenager you used to be? That's Primetime Focus, brought to you by AARP. I'm Aileen Ellis.
What are you going to do with your old car? You can try selling it, you could junk it, or you could donate it to Heritage for the Blind. Your car will be towed away for free, and your donation is tax deductible. Just call 1-800-785-9618. Heritage for the Blind accepts cars, vans, trucks, and boats. It doesn't matter if your vehicle runs or not. It will be towed away for free, and you'll be supporting those that need help. Heritage for the Blind is a nonprofit organization that helps the visually impaired live fuller lives. Call right now to donate your car, and as a special thank you for calling, you'll receive a free 3-day vacation voucher to many exciting locations. Call Heritage for the Blind right now, 1-800-785-9618. Donating is easy, and your vehicle is towed away for free. Plus, you'll get a free vacation voucher. Call now, 1-800-785-9618. That's 1-800-785-9618.
Okay, we're back with more of Divine Love Talk on CRN. I'm your host, Dr. Parthenia Grant, and I'm interviewing my co-host, Kim Michaels, about his book, Healing Mother Earth. Kim, in the book you said that we were meant to work with the elementals of earth, wind, fire, and air to manifest what we needed literally from thought to hand. But it was our separation from oneness and our fall from grace that caused us to lose the keys of knowledge to bring forth any idea that we impressed upon the matter light, causing us to work by the sweat of our brow, and that there is no lack in the universe. We were were simply conditioned to believe in lack and limitation and struggle. You also pointed out that elementals are conscious beings who take on a form that manifests matter, which allows the matter to respond to the sophisticated consciousness of human beings. I thought all of this was pretty fascinating stuff. And maybe you could, in the next half hour, we're really going to go into a lot more detail. But before we go into that, Kim, I'm going to play a song that my daughter did that really brings home our responsibility in all of this. And after commercial break, we'll go into more detail. So let's hear it. It's the song is by Jane Doe, and the music is by Simon Morrell. Can you turn it up a little bit?
Lifetimes to realize King Solomon was right as rain. There's nothing new about the cycle of sorrow and pain, created by the illusions that keep us chasing after wind, caught up in the ego's endless vanity of punishing sins. When they are forgiven the instant we forsake the old ways of accusation and denial and come back to the fold. We've been given an invitation to come back home free to the forgiving heart of God where we all long to be. Still we hide behind the fig tree trying to cover up, afraid we will be forced to drink from a bitter cup. Mistakes mistaken for setups instead of mere lessons that we twisted and turned into heat-seeking weapons. Put down your guns, tear down the walls of defenses. Use your heart to help you come back to your senses and remember the essence of who you truly are. An immortal spirit meant to be free and go far, beyond the confines of finite thoughts and into the stars. Get dressed in your best. Today is your graduation from 3D to 5th dimensional love, light, and libation. I am now rhyming with the rhythm of all life, living in the moment, free from all struggle and strife. Where was peace of mind hiding all this time? I can't believe just how hard it was to find. Why didn't I know I could just walk away? That none of this strife was my debt to pay. Who was that pulling such sick jokes on me? Who placed these blinders so I could not see? Was it I adding to my confusion? Did I submit myself to domestication, consuming dead food for medication? Wow, such cruel tricks we play on ourselves, hiding a virtual fortune of wealth. We buried deep and forgot the locale, till we became our own confidant and pal. Yes, the solution is in the question. It's not a mandate, just a suggestion. Ask yourself, who needs your forgiveness? Then give it and move on to claim your bliss.
Okay, so are we going into commercial break? Okay, we're good? All right. Okay, Kim, I just thought that song really kind of summarized where we've been and where we can go in terms of taking personal responsibility for the role that we've played in.
It did it very well.
So we're going into commercial break? Okay, so after commercial break, we will come back into how we can stop working by the sweat of our brow and move into harmony with our planet Earth. You're listening to Divine Love Talk. I'm your host, Dr. Parthenia Grant.
Try Fry Vineyards, the Mendocino County organic wine with no sulfites added from America's pioneering organic winery. Fry Wine, the first maker of certified biodynamic wines in the United States. At Fry Wines, our emphasis is on producing organic wine of the highest quality while caring for our planet and palate alike. Check out our website at frywine.com and join the Fry Vineyards Wine Club. You'll receive 20% off all orders and much more. Plus, you can check out our internet-only specials. And go to our crntalk.com website or the frywine.com website and check out Chef Piero's Recipe of the Week. Great biodynamic wines from Redwood Valley in Mendocino County, California. Fry Wines. Go to frywine.com. That's Freywyne. Frywine.com. Check it out and enjoy great wines at your home tonight.
As a small business owner, there's one word that you absolutely dread: payroll. For small businesses, it's a big burden. You may think you're saving time and money doing it yourself. But come on, are you? Timesheets, processing checks, calculating taxes, a total waste of your time. Paychex simplifies payroll processing, saving you time and money. Submit your payroll online, fax it in, or call your dedicated Paychex payroll specialist. And you're done. Learn more at trypaychex.com. Come on, do the math. The IRS dishes out 8 million penalties a year. Make one mistake and you're on the hook. On average, you're losing nearly one business day every month doing payroll. That's time and money you'll never get back, unless you get Paychex. More than 500,000 small businesses already do. Call 888-578-5378. Trade payroll pressure for peace of mind. Call now. 888-578-5378. That's 888-578-5378.
Who did you let down today? Your wife? Your kids? Well, how about yourself? Take a look in the mirror. If you're tired of your drug and alcohol problem, you need to fix the problem, and right now, before you hurt or kill yourself, or worse yet, somebody else. Call the addiction specialist now at the Detox and Treatment Helpline, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. If you have private insurance, we specialize in finding you the right treatment. When you call right now, you'll speak to a recovering addict who understands what you're going through right now. Let us help you break your addiction to drug and alcohol before it's too late. This call is completely confidential and free. So if you have private insurance, take 5 minutes of your time. Call right now. I promise it'll change your life. 800-881-1672. 800-881-1672. 800-881-1672. Call right now. 800-881-1672.
Nothing says I love you, I'm thinking about you, or I miss you, like a beautiful bouquet of fresh flowers from ProFlowers.com. Flowers are a festive way to dress up a birthday, holiday, or anniversary. Plus, prices start at $19.99 and include a free vase. Every bouquet is guaranteed to last at least 7 days. To send a thoughtful bouquet, go to ProFlowers.com/radio. And to receive this special offer, enter code DAISY. That's ProFlowers.com/radio, code DAISY.
Hi, welcome to Hellsberg Diamonds.
Hi there. We'd like to look at engagement rings. Wait, is that the Geico Gecko?
Oh, hello. I'm just admiring this lovely diamond solitaire ring.
It's beautiful.
Yeah, it is.
Well, that was easy. Now, who thinks it's a good idea to save money on their car insurance?
I do.
I do.
Wow. I think we just had the wedding rehearsal.
Geico. 15 minutes could save you 15% or more on car insurance.
Okay, we're back with more of Divine Love Talk on CRN. I'm interviewing my co-host, Kim Michaels, about his book, Healing Mother Earth. Kim, as I said before commercial break, you've got some really profound information in there about how, literally, that made me get how we bought into such limited concepts and how hard we work to uphold these ideas and beliefs that are really not serving us. So I'd like to talk in this half hour about how we can break out of this mindset that we have to live by the sweat of our brow and struggle, that life was meant to be a struggle, which is, absolutely not true, and what we can do about it. So I'll let you take it.
Yeah, the first thing I think we need to realize is that the universe is not set up to work against us. The universe is actually set up as a learning environment where we can exercise our creative abilities, and then we get back whatever we project out with the power of our minds. And so what we have done in the present situation on Earth is we have created a very limited world where it seems like we have to struggle against nature and we have to take by force, and that's why we have to work at the sweat of our brow. And this is completely unnecessary. It's not that we aren't allowed to do this according to free will. If we want to struggle, we are allowed to create as much struggle as we want. Mm-hmm. And the problem is that if we go into the mindset of thinking that we haven't created the struggle and that there's nothing we can do about it, then how are we going to get out of that state of consciousness?
Exactly.
And that's precisely the problem. As I said earlier, this dualistic state of consciousness becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy, and it becomes a closed loop, and you just can't get out of it unless you step back and realize there is an alternative. Mm-hmm. And that alternative is to realize that in the original state, before we started creating limitations, nature and the nature spirits or the elemental beings were completely set up to give us everything we need in the physical material world, just by us working with them and working with the elemental beings using the power of our minds. And this is, again, where we have to be really careful, because it is not enough to change our conscious minds. This is what you see in a lot of these get-rich-quick schemes or whatever you have out there, where they say, oh, just change your mind. It's just a matter of switching your mind a little bit. Mm-hmm. In a sense, it's true. It is just a matter of switching your mind. But as you mentioned earlier, we have 4 levels of the mind.
Right.
We have the conscious, the emotional, the mental, and the deepest one, the identity level. So a lot of people who awaken to the spiritual path and awaken to the idea that we can do something different, they start changing their minds at the conscious level. But this is only the first step. Mm-hmm. So what happens to a lot of people, and I've seen this myself, both in myself, but also many people I've known, is that you start this, whatever it is, positive mental attitude or whatever, you give affirmations, you make a treasure map, you do all of these things. But this is still only working at the conscious level. And so what we're not realizing is that what we are doing at the conscious level is we're creating an energy impulse. Mm-hmm. But we have other problems, other patterns at the subconscious level, in the emotional, mental, and identity levels that are working against what we're doing at the conscious level.
Exactly.
So you are sending out something with a conscious mind, but the 3 levels of your subconscious mind are sending out maybe a completely different message. Mm-hmm. You might be saying consciously, oh, I want to get rich, I want to have a nice house, but there may be other parts of your subconscious mind that are saying, but I want to struggle, life is a struggle, mm-hmm. and I want to prove that it's a struggle, or whatever it may be. And that's why unless we go to these deeper levels, we just are not going to get out of this closed loop.
And so, well, how would we go to those deeper levels? What would you suggest, meditation or visualization?
What I would suggest, and what has worked for me and many, many people I've seen, is to start using the tools given by the Ascended Masters. There are lots of them on TranscendenceToolbox.com. Okay. And it is to learn how to invoke spiritual light, the light of the 7 spiritual rays. Because it is the light out of the light of the spiritual rays that everything in the material world is created. And when you learn to invoke that light and direct it into conditions in your subconscious mind, that's when you start feeling a difference. That's when there are actually many invocations on the Transcendence Toolbox website mm-hmm. that are aimed directly at reprogramming or dissolving those beliefs in the subconscious mind. I mean, there is one called the Nurturance Rosary that is very powerful for this, but there's many others.
Well, I was going to ask you, because it mentioned in the book that, you had a lot of them, but which one specifically would you suggest for us learning to work more in harmony with the elementals? We have our body elementals, and we have the elementals of, earth, wind, fire, air, and water.
Yeah, I mean, there is, as I said, there is one that's called Mother Mary's Rosary of Miracle Nurturance.
Okay.
But that one actually goes together with 3 others that are aimed at clearing the 4 lower bodies.
Okay.
Then, of course, I have, if you really want to go into abundance, I would recommend the 3 books that are called A Course in Abundance.
Okay.
And they have a lot of profound teachings in there, also talk about elemental beings.
Okay.
And they have specific invocations that are written to help you reprogram so that you don't subconsciously reject the abundance that you want with the conscious mind.
Yeah, I just started reading the Course in Abundance, so and I did get to one of the rosaries, and they're not as long as some of the other ones, so that was really nice.
No. They're fairly short.
Yeah, I like that. And I think most people, when you're introducing them to these invocations or decrees, the shorter ones are probably a lot easier for people to do.
Yeah, definitely. It's easier to get started with them. But you also have to realize that what we're talking about here is that if you're really serious about these matters, you have to recognize that you have lived before. And it's not just in this lifetime that you created these limiting beliefs. And you can't really expect that 15 minutes and you're going to be a completely new person and you're going to dissolve everything you've created. It's just naive to think that. And that's why you have to have a long-term perspective on it. And this is one of the things, that I've seen over and over and over again. And the Ascended Masters actually say it themselves. They say that many people give up just before
they're having a breakthrough.
Yeah.
Right, exactly. And, I know with my own work with the invocations, invoking light and decrees, that because of the years of conditioning, I know that I need a lot more time with them than just a few minutes, because I can feel the resistance of my ego and my subconscious mind to a lot of the words and a lot of the invocations. So I do get how you really have to consciously work to reprogram all of the negative programs that are there. And that definitely takes dedication and definitely takes time.
Yeah, and that's a good point you're bringing up, because I recognize that in myself as well. If I feel that there is resistance to something I'm saying in an invocation, then I know the ego is hiding behind some kind of belief there.
Exactly.
And I would actually recommend that if people are interested in this, they go to the Transcendence Toolbox website, and then you go into the invocations, and then you can find this Rosary or Miracle Nurturance, and just try to read it and meditate on the words, because the words in that rosary are actually very, very profound for reprogramming the mind from this struggle consciousness. It's really amazing.
Well, I haven't tried that one, so I will definitely get on that. You have there's another quote that I wanted to share from the book where you said the real key to freedom is to take control over your state of mind so that you will not allow the power elite to intimidate you into not expressing your individuality. They cannot exercise power over your mind, even if they exercise power over your body. And you gave the example of, how Martin Luther King and Gandhi were put in jail, but they still let their light shine in jail. And probably one of the most profound essays I've ever read was Martin Luther King's letter from the Birmingham jail. That, when you consider that he was probably writing it on little tissue pieces of paper and there was no typewriter.
Right.
That, the flow, that was just divinely inspired. And your book points out that the real key to freedom is to free your mind so that you are not deceived by the lies of the fallen beings nor intimidated by them. That is the key to overcoming all current environmental problems in society, and that is the key to bringing in the golden age. And you also pointed out that the power elite's dream is to have these mindless minions following their orders without thinking creatively or individually, because their idea of a golden age is to suppress individuality, to suppress creativity, and to seduce the intellectuals, also to limit population growth and to limit the growth of society. But the key to freedom is to become the open door for the flow of the creativity of the presence, to bring through you new ideas and thoughts that will magically transform the earth into a golden age. And I'm seeing this with young people. They're not buying into the old paradigm, and they are, thinking outside of the box, and they're refusing to submit to the old paradigm, and that is good news. I think
yes,
that's
and just think about this potential. You know, you look back at history and some of the people that have had the greatest impact. You mentioned Martin Luther King and Gandhi. Nelson Mandela was also very productively using his time in jail.
Yes.
And many other people have done this. But you see many of these people that we call geniuses, and they have often brought forth maybe one or few ideas in a lifetime.
Mm-hmm.
But now imagine that young people today start becoming conscious of their potential to be an open door for new ideas. And they use the teachings and tools of the Ascended Masters to really unlock that potential. Why should you be limited to bringing forth one good idea in a lifetime? You know, the Ascended Masters have said that they stand ready to release all of the ideas that will transform society and the earth.
Yeah.
But that it requires somebody who can be the open door for them.
Yeah, and that's why we want to do the work, and that's why I'm so dedicated to nurturing and mentoring young people with young ideas who know that the system is, you know, that we've just been given a bad rap, and we've bought into a bad bundle of ideas, and they're trying to think their way out of the maze. And I do believe that they are the hope for the future. The children, the young children that are coming in today really inspire me. I'm just amazed by them, and I totally bow to their creativity and how they're standing in their individuality. And I want to encourage all of the young people out there to continue to think outside of the box and to question everything.
Yeah, and it's such an important concept. I mean, I think actually it's becoming harder and harder for the power elite to hold people back. But we still have an entire system, including the educational system, that is really, it's designed to limit your creativity and make you think in certain tracks.
Yes.
And if you go along, you will get along.
Yeah.
You will be able to go to school and get a degree. You'll be able to pay back your student loan in 15 years. You'll be able to pay back your mortgage in 30 years.
Not in America.
And then you'll get a gold watch after 40 years, and then you won't have any more time left to come out with any new ideas. You know? But if you don't play that game, then who knows what can happen? I mean, it's amazing the creative potential that's there in young people.
Exactly.
But I think some of us older people may have a little bit of potential too, don't you think?
Well, you know, Kim, I think I'm just going to settle for being a mentor and the best role model that I can be, because I certainly learn a lot more from young people than I ever think that I could teach them. But yeah, I think we got a little bit left in us.
But who knows what kind of ideas about education you could be the open door for based on your experience.
Well, you are right. And the whole reason why I was literally pushed out of education was because I was outside of the box and so popular with the young people and allowing them to think for themselves. Because as your book points out, what the old guard, the power elite want is for you to submit to their, you know, limited way of thinking, or they want you to fight them. They want you to oppose them. And they don't leave you, you know, within that system. They do not leave you any other alternative. So you have to, you know, they'll force you out. And you're right. I'm having to figure out another way that I can be of service to the planet.
Yeah, and I'm sure
people.
that will come to you in time. You know, you think about, it's very important what you're saying. Whether you fight them or whether you submit, you are still being controlled by them.
Exactly.
And we saw in the 60s how the youth rebelled against authority.
Mm-hmm.
And it was a necessary step. I'm not saying it was wrong.
Oh, yeah.
But there is a higher way, and that is to find that middle way where we're not rebelling and we're not submitting. We're just transcending the old way of thinking. We're just leaving it behind and saying, the emperor has nothing on.
Yeah. And that's exactly what I did. I pointed out that the emperor had no clothes on. And they'll run you out of town when you do that. But the truth is that it was your teachings and the books that helped me see that there was a third way, that there's a higher road where you don't have to fight these people, because when you fight them, that's all they want. Because their fight is so nonsensical. They make absolutely no sense. They don't believe in the truth. And anything you say that is the truth, they can and will use the truth against you. So there's no point in talking to them. So we will be back with more of how you can stop living by the sweat of your brow and Kim Michaels' book, Healing Mother Earth, after commercial break. You're listening to Divine Love Talk on CRN. I'm your host, Dr. Parthenia Grant.
Come to Angelo's and Vinci's Restaurante in Fullerton, California for our sizzling holiday savings. Come to Angelo's and Vinci's and celebrate in one of our festive banquet rooms and receive free pizza hors d'oeuvres for all your guests and use of our holiday centerpieces free of charge. Call for all the details. And don't forget our daily lunch and dinners, including fresh salmon fillet prepared, simply seasoned, or with a duo of mustards glazed. Plus our Sunday champagne brunch is $14.95. It includes minestrone soup, sausage and peppers, pastas, chicken dishes, salads, scones and muffins, a chocolate fondue fountain, zeppelis, cookies, fresh fruit, champagne, and Junior will be waiting to make the omelet of your choice from our omelet bar. Angelo's and Vinci's has been voted one of the top 5 Italian restaurants on the Orange County Hot List for the past 6 years. And don't forget our award-winning pizzas. It's all at Angelo's and Vinci's Restaurante at 550 North Harbor Boulevard in Fullerton, California. Call 714-879-4022. 714-879-4022.
Are you thinking about your Medicare benefits right now? You know, Original Medicare may not cover all of your needs, and the deadline to choose your plan is rapidly approaching. Plus, whatever Medicare plan you choose is locked in for a full year, so the wrong choice could cost you thousands of dollars in out-of-pocket costs. At Health Markets, we can help you find a plan to minimize those costs with one free phone call. You could spend hours doing all the research yourself, or our licensed agents can do it for you for free. Call Health Markets now for free help.
800-749-7781. 800-749-7781. 800-749-7781. 800-749-7781. Health Markets Insurance Agency is a DBA of InSphere Insurance Solutions, licensed in all 50 states and D.C. Service and product availability varies by state. Agents may be compensated based on your enrollment.
Hi, I'm Joan London, and if you're worried about your parent or a loved one living alone like I was, and you want reliable senior care information, then call A Place for Mom, the nation's largest senior living referral service. You'll get free information on assisted living, Alzheimer's care, nursing homes, even important financial information.
They had obviously researched every place, not just given me names.
Really? Yeah.
They found me a place for what she could afford, and it was magnificent.
We're now very confident that she's safe, and they just helped every step of the way, and I can't thank them enough.
So if you're struggling to find reliable senior living information, call A Place for Mom. This is a free service, and you can trust them to help you.
If you're struggling to find reliable senior living information for your mom or dad, then call or go online to get the free help you need during this turbulent time. Call now, 800-471-5173, 800-471-5173.
Okay, we're back wrapping this up on Divine Love Talk with my co-host, Kim Michaels. We're talking about how you can help heal Mother Earth and stop living by the sweat of your brow. And Kim, that was a cogent point you brought up about our educational systems and how they are really limiting, they're literally cementing in the programs. And I was reading an interview by Willow and Jaden Smith, Will Smith's children. Willow is only 14, and she pointed out how she only attended school for 1 year, and the kids in her class were depressed, and they depressed her, and she had to get out of the school. And both of those kids have been homeschooled, and if you read their interview and how bright their minds are and how creative they are, they really are an example of what you're talking about in your book about being individuals and using your creativity to make a difference in the world. So it's kids like that that give me hope. And I had a lot of kids who were homeschooled, 14 and 15 years old, some of them even 13, that were in my college classes, and they were the brightest and the best. So I do encourage parents who can afford to keep their kids at home, and if you're, educated enough to homeschool them, to do that. To make sure that the creativity is not killed, and to watch Sir Ken Robinson's YouTube video on how schools kill creativity. Because they do a really good job of that.
Well, that's because the powers that be, the power elite, as we usually call them, they fear nothing more than creativity.
Yes.
Because it can't be controlled. Mm-hmm. And they are in the state of mind they're in the duality consciousness, where they think there are threats everywhere, and they actually think that creativity is the greatest threat to their power and their control. But in reality, what are we seeing on the planet right now? We are seeing that the power and control games that we have been playing are creating all kinds of consequences that we can't get around. Whether it's lack of energy, whether it's global warming, whether it's war, it is just showing the limits of the system. And the only way out of this is not more control, it's more creativity.
You got it, and I'm totally in agreement with that. And that I can testify that on the college level, that if you are creative as a professor, the powers that be will come after you and shut you down. And I'm sure that there are thousands of other teachers out there who've had the same experience. But we do need to create new ways of teaching children and new ideas for schools for children. And that's what being creative is all about. Thank you for joining us on Divine Love Talk, and thank you, Kim Michaels, for all of the amazing work that you do to help raise the consciousness of the planet. And I want to thank my audience for joining us. You're listening to Divine Love Talk on CRN. I'm your host, Dr. Parthenia Grant. And check out Kim Michaels' Transcendence Toolbox for some of those invocations.